This is Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. Let's talk records. It is late 1964, up in the sky. Brian Wilson, leader of the Beach Boys, suffers a panic attack aboard a flight while touring with the band and decides to stop touring to focus on studio work. In December 1965, the Beatles released Rubber Soul, a revelation for Wilson. Inspired by that and his long-life admiration for Phil Spector's Wall of Sound, he set out to create the greatest album ever made. While recording in Los Angeles, Wilson met Tony Asher, a young advertising copywriter. The two began collaborating in early 1966, writing most of what would become Pet Sounds in just a few weeks. Brian recorded the album's backing tracks with the Wrecking Crew, the same session musicians favored by Phil Spector. Wilson's studio experiments were revolutionary. He plucked the strings of a piano with bobby pins, used bicycle horns, bells, Coke cans, water jugs, and brought in instruments rare in rock and roll: ukulele, harpsichord, bongos, accordion, glockenspiel, and even an electric theremin. When the band returned from tour, reactions were mixed. Some members were amazed, others confused. Capitol grew nervous about the album's departure from the familiar Beach Boys sound. To hedge their bets, they released a best-of compilation simultaneously, which ended up outselling Pet Sounds. At one point, Capitol even considered shelving the album. Pet Sounds was released on May 16th in 1966 by Capitol Records. Caroline No began as Carol I Know, but Wilson misheard Asher's suggestion. The track ends with Brian Dogs, Banana, and Louie barking over the sound of trains. Despite critical praise, Pet Sounds underperformed in the US, debuting at number 106 and peaking at number 10. Their first album since 1963 not to go gold. It wouldn't go platinum until the year 2000. Across the Atlantic, it was a different story. The album hit number 2 in the UK, and Bruce Johnston's promotional trip there helped spark its legend. Keith Moon arranged a listening session with John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and other British musicians. Afterward, Lennon and McCartney immediately asked to hear it again. George Martin later said that without Pet Sounds, there might never have been Sgt. Pepper's. McCartney even called God Only Knows one of his all-time favorite songs. Yet the lukewarm US response deeply affected Brian Wilson. He continued pushing himself to top the Beatles, but personal trauma and his strained relationship with his father, Murray Wilson, derailed him. His follow-up masterpiece, Smile, was never finished. If you think about it, Pet Sounds is a true underdog story. One man's sonic dream that changed pop music forever. In 1998, Pet Sounds was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. In 2004, it was preserved by the Library of Congress. Rolling Stone magazine ranked it number 2 on its 500 greatest albums of all time list in 2003, 2012, and 2020.